On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Identity.
The fact of being who or what somebody or something is, the features, emotions, or ideas that distinguish persons from one another.
Examples:
Mistaken identity. Identity as an individual. The terrorist's identity remains unknown.
Fierce.
Severe and violent in a way that is frightening.
Examples:
Fierce competition. A fierce animal. The fierce thunders echoed across the plain.
Opponent.
A person against whom you are playing or fighting in a game, competition, debate, etc.
Examples:
Computer opponent. Death penalty opponent. He was attempting to confuse his opponent.
Bully.
A person who uses strength or power to harm or intimidate those who are weaker. Verb, to intimidate, harass, or mistreat someone weaker or less powerful.
Examples:
Bully bystander. Bully the weak. The schoolyard bully terrorized the other children and made their lives miserable.
Bury.
To place a dead body in the ground, grave, or tomb.
Examples:
Bury in the earth. Bury emotion. There is plenty of space to bury everyone.
Hazy.
Not clear due to a lack of recollection, comprehension, or detail, unsure or perplexed about something.
Examples:
Hazy dream. Hazy atmosphere. My recollections of the holiday were hazy.
Denial.
A statement that something is not true or does not exist.
Examples:
State of denial. An absolute denial. She gave us a categorical denial of the scandal.
Apparently.
Based on what you have heard or read.
Examples:
Apparently simple. Apparently unrelated. The police apparently believed this explanation was plausible.
Praise.
An expression that shows approval and admiration of the achievements or characteristics of someone or something.
Examples:
Attain critical praise. Universal praise. The drama series mainly received praise.
Liberal.
Willing to respect or allow many different types of beliefs or behavior, open-minded.
Examples:
A liberal arts college. Under liberal conditions. He is liberal in his thoughts.
Conservative.
Holding traditional views and values and opposed to change or innovation.
Examples:
A conservative society. Conservative about production. He always makes a conservative estimation when predicting future sales.
Hypocrisy.
The practice of engaging in the same behavior or activity for which one criticizes another, or the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's behavior does not conform.
Examples:
without hypocrisy, self-serving hypocrisy. The commentaries often criticized the government's political hypocrisy.
Creep.
To move slowly, quietly, and carefully, usually to avoid being seen or heard.
Examples:
creep along the leaf, creep toward the mouse. Aging creeps up slowly with time.
Sigh.
To emit a deep, audible breath or sound, often expressing feelings of tiredness, frustration, or relief. To express longing, wish, or regret. Noun, the act of exhaling audibly in a long, deep, and often melancholy way.
Examples:
sigh deeply, let out a sigh. He sighed in relief when he finally found his lost keys.
Torment.
Unbearable physical pain or extreme mental distress. Verb, to cause severe physical or mental suffering to someone, or to be the victim of such suffering.
Examples:
torment of jealousy, economic torment. The torturers inflicted great torment upon the prisoners.
Merciless.
Showing no pity or compassion, cruel or without mercy, harsh and unforgiving.
Examples:
merciless criticism, a merciless killer. The merciless dictator ruled with an iron fist, showing no mercy to those who opposed him.
Bloody.
Covered in or smeared with blood, involving or characterized by bloodshed or brutality.
Examples:
bloody massacre, bloody diarrhea. The crime scene was bloody and gruesome.
Hygiene.
The practice of maintaining cleanliness in the home and person to prevent illness.
Examples:
hygiene practices, public hygiene. Good hygiene is important for preventing the spread of illness.
Plainly.
Clearly and simply, in a straightforward and easy to understand manner.
Examples:
plainly spoken, plainly visible. She plainly stated her opinion, leaving no room for misinterpretation.
Suffer.
To experience pain, distress, or hardship. To undergo or endure something painful or unpleasant.
Examples:
suffer a setback, suffer bad grades. The older man suffers from arthritis and finds it difficult to move around.
Sticky.
Made of or covered with an adhesive substance, hot or warm and humid.
Examples:
Sticky weather. Sticky situation. A peculiar sticky material coated the foliage.
Hallway.
An interior passage or corridor onto which rooms open.
Examples:
The head of a hallway. Wax a hallway floor. He dashed down a hallway to a bathroom.
Grade.
A particular level of quality, size, importance, etc.
Examples:
Boys in the 12th grade. Students at all grade levels. Departments may set requirements for a higher grade point average.
Clipboard.
A flat, rigid board with a clip at the top used to hold papers, documents, or forms in place.
Examples:
Clipboard with a pen. Write on a clipboard. The nurse carried a clipboard with the patient's medical information.
Survey.
An investigation of the opinions, behavior, etc. of a particular group of people, made by asking people questions.
Examples:
A comprehensive survey. Recent survey. That survey shows that people are accepting the tax increase to some extent.
Preference.
A stronger liking or interest for something or someone than another thing or person.
Examples:
His meal preferences. A particular preference for Chinese art. Her preference is comfortable clothing over fashionable ones.
Pounce.
To spring or jump on suddenly and aggressively, often to capture or attack. To seize an opportunity quickly and eagerly.
Examples:
Pounce on an opportunity. Pounce on prey. The cat silently waited to pounce on the mouse.
Perspective.
A certain attitude towards something, a particular style of thinking about something.
Examples:
A perspective view. Perspective of the battle. His father's death changed his whole perspective on life.
Immediately.
Now or without delay.
Examples:
Immediately recall a product. Write him an answer immediately. A suspension order from the court is effective immediately.
Eventually.
Finally, particularly after a long time or a lot of struggle, complications, and so on.
Examples:
Eventually become obsolete. Eventually succeed. The corporation eventually dominated the entire tobacco business.
Ruin.
To damage, spoil, or demolish something. Noun, an unrecoverable state of devastation and destruction.
Examples:
ruin the plan. Ruin the reputation. He knocked over the red wine and ruined the tablecloth.
Worthless.
Having no value or usefulness, not worth considering.
Examples:
Worthless stock. Worthless coin. The product was found to be worthless as it failed to meet the customer's expectations.
Garbage.
Waste material, especially food waste and kitchen refuse.
Examples:
Garbage collection. Lump of garbage. The garbage truck will be coming to pick up the trash every Monday morning.
Monster.
An imaginary creature that is large and has various human and animal parts, someone or something large and powerful.
Examples:
Horde of monsters. Monster film. This car has a monster engine.
Impulse.
A sudden strong and unreflective wish or need to do something. The electrical discharge that travels along a nerve fiber.
Examples:
A combative impulse. Profound religious impulses. Nerve impulses cross a synapse through the action of neurotransmitters.
Admittedly.
Used to acknowledge a fact or statement, often one that weakens or contradicts an argument or opinion, conceitedly.
Examples:
Admittedly true. Admittedly controversial. The book was admittedly difficult to follow, but still worth reading.
Mushy.
Soft and pulpy in texture or consistency, often describing food, emotionally sentimental or overly romantic in a way that can be seen as insincere or sickly sweet.
Examples:
Mushy romance. Mushy peas. The cake was mushy because I accidentally added too much milk to the batter.
Greedy.
Having or showing an intense or insatiable desire for wealth, status, power, or food.
Examples:
Greedy person. Greedy for money. His greedy behavior led him to steal from the company.
Rage.
A strong feeling of anger or violence.
Examples:
Uncontrollable rage. Fall into a rage. She was filled with a burning rage at the injustice she had witnessed.
Steady.
Firmly fixed, supported, or balanced, not shaking or moving.
Examples:
Steady increase. Take a steady job. The patient's vital signs are steady, indicating a stable condition.
Undercurrent.
A concealed or underlying tendency or feeling, a flow below the surface of a fluid.
Examples:
Undercurrent of hostility. Economic undercurrent. The undercurrent of tension was palpable in the meeting.
Bubble.
A thin, round, and often transparent mass of gas that is surrounded by a thin layer of liquid, a state of economic or social prosperity that is unsustainable and eventually collapses.
Examples:
Bubble in the champagne glass. Economic bubble. Many people worry that the current real estate market is a bubble that could burst soon.
Increasingly.
More and more.
Examples:
Increasingly become common. Face increasingly complicated challenges. Our company found it increasingly difficult to keep up with the competition.
Overflow.
To flow or run over the edge or brim of a container or surface, to be more than enough.
Examples:
Overflow on the platform. Overflow with emotion. The river overflowed its banks during the heavy rain.
Cruel.
Feeling or showing pleasure in causing pain or suffering to others.
Examples:
A cruel and unusual punishment. Cruel joke. The dictator was known for his cruel and oppressive regime.
Unravel.
Undo twisted, knitted, or woven threads by separating it.
Examples:
Unravel a knit. Unravel a plot. Detectives are still attempting to unravel the mystery of his death.
Overly.
To a greater degree than is appropriate or desirable.
Examples:
Overly excessive. Overly unnecessary. The movie was overly dramatic, with exaggerated emotions and cliched plot twists.
Intellect.
The ability to think logically and comprehend information, especially at an advanced level.
Examples:
Enrich my intellect. Human intellect. Your intellect is capable of distinguishing among similar objects.
Spoil.
To ruin the taste, appearance, or quality of something, to become or cause something to become rotten or bad.
Examples:
Spoil a person's sport. Spoil the surprise. If you leave the milk out of the refrigerator for too long, it will spoil.
Alert.
To warn or arouse to a sense of danger. Adjective, paying close attention or being in a state of readiness for action.
Examples:
Alert consumers to the dangers. Alert system. The company's cybersecurity team alerted the CEO to potential threats.
Psychology.
The scientific study of mind and behavior.
Examples:
Psychology experiment. Psychology of crowd. She had a master's degree in psychology.
Pioneer.
Inventor, explorer, someone who is among the first to achieve something.
Examples:
Act as a pioneer. Early pioneers. John Whitney was a computer animation pioneer.
Develop.
To grow or expand, to improve or refine through a process of progress and refinement, often to achieve greater sophistication or complexity, to elaborate or add detail to something that is in the process of being created.
Examples:
Develop a strategy. Develop a skill. We must develop a new system to streamline our workflow and increase efficiency.
Prejudice.
A thought or feeling that is unfair and makes no sense, mainly when it is formed without enough thought or knowledge.
Examples:
Deep-rooted prejudice. Color prejudice. This community is free of social prejudice.
Genocide.
The intentional killing of a large group of people, especially those of a particular ethnic group or nation.
Examples:
Genocide victims. Genocide resolution. The international community condemned the genocide in the country.
Bias.
A strong feeling in favor of or against one group of people, an idea, or thing, often not based on fair judgment.
Examples:
Bias against a big company. Have a bias towards socialism. She researched gender bias in politics.
Violent.
Involving or caused by physical force or aggression against someone or something.
Examples:
Victim of a violent crime. Violent incident. The protesters became violent when the police tried to disperse them.
Inherent.
Existing in something as a permanent, essential, or characteristic attribute.
Examples:
Inherent risk. Have an inherent dislike. Honesty is an inherent quality that everyone should strive to possess.
Superior.
Better, higher in quality, or more advanced than others.
Examples:
Superior performance. Provide superior customer service. The new smartphone model is superior to the previous version in terms of speed and features.
Interaction.
The act of connecting with someone, mainly when working, playing, or spending time with them.
Examples:
The interaction between man and his environment. Interaction among human beings. The interaction of the two groups is good for brainstorming.
Accident.
An unfortunate event, especially one causing damage or injury.
Examples:
Cause an accident. Injury in a car accident. The accident partially destroyed my vehicle.
Gay.
Homosexual, happy, carefree.
Examples:
Gay couple. Gay rights. The Gay Pride Parade was a celebration of diversity and acceptance.
Consciously.
With awareness, in a deliberate manner.
Examples:
Consciously aware of a problem. Act consciously. He consciously criticizes her in the publicity.
Discriminate.
To treat a person or particular group of people worse or better than another, especially in an unfair way, to recognize or perceive the difference between people or things.
Examples:
Discriminate against women employees. Discriminate between different things. You should not discriminate against minorities.
Policy.
A set of rules, guidelines, principles, or procedures that govern decision-making or action, often used in the context of business or government, a course of action or plan of action adopted or followed by an organization or individual to achieve a goal or objective.
Examples:
Health policy. Foreign policy. The company's new policy on remote work has made it a more inclusive workplace.
Coincidence.
An occasion when two or more similar things happen at the same time by chance, in a surprising way.
Examples:
The coincidence of an opinion. By a strange coincidence. It was a pure coincidence that we met her in the library.
Define.
To state or explain precisely the nature, scope, or meaning of something.
Examples:
Define a word. Define my position. To advance this discussion, we must define success rigorously.
Broad.
Very wide, general.
Examples:
Attract broad attention. A broad mind. He accumulated wealth across a broad spectrum of assets.
Extreme.
Very great in amount or degree.
Examples:
Extreme sports. Extreme weather events. Solar gravity creates extreme pressures and temperatures.
Instance.
A particular example or single occurrence of something.
Examples:
For instance. Notable instance. These articles cite 5 instances of climate change.
March.
To walk militarily with stiff, regular steps.
Examples:
March against the war. March east. The troops marched shoulder to shoulder.
Chant.
A simple melody or tune, typically one that is repeated or sung in a monotonous way. Verb, recite with musical intonation.
Examples:
chant melodies, chant in the chapel. The soccer game crowd broke into a chant of "Go, team, go."
Gender.
The range of characteristics of femininity and masculinity and differentiating between them, especially when considering social and cultural differences rather than differences in biology.
Examples:
gender-blind policies, dual gender. Cultural norms strongly influence gender expectations.
Inferior.
Lower in rank, status, or quality.
Examples:
an inferior poet, inferior quality. The new employee's work was inferior to that of the experienced workers in the team.
Implicit.
Suggested but not directly expressed.
Examples:
implicit bias, give implicit consent. The implicit meaning behind his words was clear, even though he did not explicitly say it.
Historic.
Famous or significant in history, or potentially so.
Examples:
historic accomplishment, achieve the historic feat. The Chinese people have accomplished several historic feats.
Racism.
Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people based on their membership in a particular ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized.
Examples:
systemic racism, research on anti-racism. The school's lack of diversity was a clear indication of the racism present in the community.
Infect.
To affect a person, an animal, or a plant with a disease-causing organism.
Examples:
infect other animal species. Infect a computer with a virus. Children often infect parents with this head cold.
Punch.
To strike someone or something with one's fist, to make a hole in something.
Examples:
punch out numbers. Punch a ticket. He punched the wall in anger.
Enlightened.
Having or showing a rational, modern, and well-informed outlook.
Examples:
enlightened age. Make an enlightened decision. The enlightened teacher taught the class about the importance of compassion and empathy.
Racist.
Characterized by or showing discrimination or prejudice against people of other races. Noun, a person with a prejudiced belief that one racial group is superior to others.
Examples:
far-right racist. Racist attitudes. The racist comments made by the politician caused widespread condemnation.
Deserve.
To be worthy of or entitled to something, especially something good or valuable.
Examples:
deserve respect, deserve this prize. The employee deserved the promotion for their hard work and dedication.
Abstract.
Based on general ideas, feelings, or qualities and not on any of physical or concrete existence.
Examples:
An abstract noun. Abstract science. The invention of the camera triggered the development of abstract painting.
Generic.
Not specific, not linked to a particular brand or product.
Examples:
A generic product. Generic version. The generic aspirin brand was just as effective as the name brand, but much cheaper.
Sanctimonious.
Characterized by excessive or hypocritical holiness or righteousness, often to show off one's supposed moral superiority.
Examples:
Sanctimonious attitude. Sanctimonious speech. She accused her boss of being a sanctimonious hypocrite.
Pedestal.
A base or support on which something, typically a statue, column, etc., is placed.
Examples:
Pedestal sink. A stone pedestal. The statue was placed on a pedestal in the center of the park.
Manifestation.
A visible or tangible form of something, especially a particular sign of a disease or condition.
Examples:
Manifestation of a deeper problem. Manifestation of psychological stress. The manifestation of his anxiety was evident in his shaking hands.
Essential.
Indispensable, fundamental.
Examples:
Essential amino acid. Essential commodities of life. Trial and error is an essential part of education.
Fundamental.
Forming an essential base or core from which everything else develops or is affected.
Examples:
Fundamental education. Fundamental rights. Human behavior has fundamental characteristics.
Military.
Relating to or characteristic of members of the armed forces, of or relating to war or warfare.
Examples:
A military operation. A military leader. The military academy was known for its strict discipline and training.
Convoy.
A group of vehicles, ships, or other vessels that travel together, often for protection or mutual support. Verb, to accompany or escort a person or group while traveling.
Examples:
Convoy of trucks. Naval convoy. The military convoy cautiously traveled through the desert, watching for any signs of danger. Grenade. A handheld explosive device designed to be thrown or projected toward a target and detonate upon impact or after a specified time.
Examples:
Grenade explosion. Smoke grenade. The soldier threw a grenade to destroy the enemy's bunker.
Fortunate.
Having good luck or lucky.
Examples:
Fortunate situation. Less fortunate person. He was pretty fortunate to pass the exam.
Holocaust.
The systematic killing of millions of Jews and other minority groups by the Nazis during World War II, or any similar act of mass destruction.
Examples:
Nuclear holocaust. The Holocaust Museum. Many Holocaust survivors still suffer from the trauma they experienced during that time.
Myth.
An ancient story or set of stories accepted as history, especially explaining the worldview of a people.
Examples:
The myth of an old religion. Perpetuate a myth. With the financial bubble bursting, the myth of economic growth in investment banking collapsed.
Jewish.
Of or related to people whose traditional religion is Judaism.
Examples:
Jewish history. Jewish culture. My friend is a Jewish woman who celebrates Hanukkah every year.
Degree.
A unit of measurement for angles, temperature, or level of proficiency or achievement, a rank or level of academic or professional attainment.
Examples:
Bachelor's degree. Degree centigrade. She received her degree in psychology from the university.
Overcome.
To succeed in controlling or dealing with something, such as a problem or difficulty, to defeat or overwhelm someone.
Examples:
Overcome opponents. Overcome all difficulties. He tried to overcome a bad reputation and win the election.
Demean.
To lower or damage someone's dignity, honor, or reputation, to treat someone disrespectfully, often in a way that makes them feel inferior or humiliated.
Examples:
Demean the value. Demean the reputation. You shouldn't demean yourself by taking on tasks beneath your skill level.
Humanize.
To make something or someone more humane or compassionate, to make something more relatable or understandable to humans.
Examples:
Humanize my pet. Humanize a room. The charity event aims to humanize the homeless rather than treat them as mere statistics.
Destine.
To determine or set the course of something in advance, often in a way that seems predetermined or inevitable. To specify or choose someone or something for a particular fate or outcome. destine us to meet again. Be destined to become a great artist. Some people believe that we are all destined for greatness.
Womb.
The organ of a woman or female mammal in which a baby develops before birth.
Examples:
Tumor of womb. Womb transplant. The fertilized egg implanted itself in the womb.
Republican.
A person who supports or advocates for a particular form of government, typically one that has an elected head of state rather than a monarch, a member or supporter of the Republican Party in the United States.
Examples:
Republican ideology. Republican Party. Many Republican lawmakers are advocating for stricter immigration policies.
Recognize.
To acknowledge or realize something or someone, to identify, remember, or become aware of something that was previously known or encountered.
Examples:
Recognize talent. Recognize achievement. It's important to recognize your strengths and weaknesses.
Assume.
To think or accept something to be true without having proof of it, to take or begin to have power, to begin to exhibit a specific quality or appearance.
Examples:
Assume a lousy attitude to his boss. Assume an important role. The following example assumes that the capacity of each battery is the same.
Overnight.
Lasting for or occurring during one night, occurring or changing extremely quickly or suddenly, happening or being achieved in a short amount of time.
Examples:
Overnight parking. Overnight success. The overnight package delivery arrived at my door this morning.
Lifelong.
Lasting for the whole of someone's life.
Examples:
Lifelong career. Lifelong commitment. He had a lifelong love of reading and spent hours daily with a book.
Promote.
To encourage or persuade people to like, buy, use, do, or support something, to raise someone to a higher position or rank.
Examples:
Promote a better relationship. Promote bad behavior. The government should do more to promote sustainable agribusiness.
Institutionalize.
To establish or make something a part of an institution, equals a place such as a university, hospital, etc.
Examples:
Institutionalize a system. Institutionalize customary laws. The new policy aims to institutionalize the use of renewable energy sources.
Communal.
Belonging to or used by a group rather than individuals, for common use.
Examples:
Communal swimming pool. Communal combination of funds. Communal elections were held in several European countries.
Literally.
In the real or original meaning of a word or phrase, in a literal sense or way, not figuratively.
Examples:
Translate literally. Bite his tongue literally. He literally jumped out of his chair when he heard the news.
Integrate.
To combine one thing with another so that they form a whole or work together. To accept equal participation for members of all races and ethnic groups.
Examples:
Integrate into the existing system. Integrate both businesses. He found that it is difficult to integrate socially.
Participate.
To take part in something.
Examples:
Participate fully in conversation. Participate in the program. The majority of students actively participated in the college's intramural sports program.
Racial.
Of or related to the race, equals classification of humans into groups based on physical traits or social relations.
Examples:
Racial prejudice. Racial and ethnic backgrounds. A minor racial conflict later led to a civil war.
Kindergarten.
A school or class for young children, usually between the ages of 4 and 6.
Examples:
Kindergarten class. Kindergarten teacher. The kindergarten students were having a good time playing with toys.
Separate.
To force, take, or pull apart, mark as different.
Examples:
Separate video into chapter. Separate cream from milk. We need to separate the aspect of his personality from the part of his competence when making an investment decision.
Statistics.
The discipline that concerns the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data.
Examples:
Statistics for cancer. Official statistics. The statistics demonstrate that poverty and unemployment are genuine problems.
Quarter.
One of 4 equal parts, a fourth part or portion.
Examples:
A quarter mile. End of the first quarter. The unemployment rate in the first quarter was 2.3 percentage points higher than in the previous.
Addition.
The act or process of adding something to something else, the process of adding numbers.
Examples:
Chemical addition. Addition of vectors. In addition, private corporations provide healthcare services.
Proactive.
Acting in advance to deal with an expected difficulty or to take advantage of an opportunity.
Examples:
Proactive approach. Proactive about doing the task. The company implemented proactive measures to prevent future issues.
Upend.
To turn or flip over, to overthrow or upset the established order.
Examples:
Upend a table. Upend a tradition. The sudden news upended their plans for the weekend.
Perpetuate.
To make something continue or prevail for a long time.
Examples:
Perpetuate a myth. Perpetuate chronic pain. That work perpetuates his fame.
Harassment.
The act of repeatedly annoying, tormenting, or persecuting someone in a way that is threatening or unwelcome, often relating to issues of race, gender, or other identities.
Examples:
Sexual harassment. Emotional harassment. The company has a zero-tolerance policy for harassment in the workplace.
Assault.
A violent physical attack, the crime of forcing someone to submit to sexual intercourse against their will.
Examples:
Assault aircraft. Victim of sexual assault. We got caught up in an assault case.
Imbalance.
A situation in which two or more things are not equal or equally treated.
Examples:
Trade imbalance. Symptoms of hormonal imbalance. An imbalance in certain substances causes problems with brain function.
Criminal.
A person who has committed a crime.
Examples:
Wanted criminal. Criminal investigation. The police are searching for the criminal who stole the jewels.
Facilitate.
To make something easier or more likely to happen.
Examples:
Facilitate a smooth transition. Facilitate the process. The company implemented a new software system to facilitate employee communication and collaboration.
Relate.
To establish a connection or association between two or more things. To narrate or tell about an event, experience, or relationship. To empathize or feel sympathy with someone or something.
Examples:
Relate a story. Relate a message. He tried to relate his experience to the group, but they couldn't understand.
Generosity.
The fact or quality of being willing to do kind things, or give somebody money, gifts, or time freely.
Examples:
Act of generosity. Boundless generosity. He is remembered for his generosity and civilization.
Open-minded.
Willing to listen to or consider new or different ideas.
Examples:
An open-minded person. Adopt an open-minded attitude. Both parties were pleased with the open-minded discussion.
Compassion.
A strong feeling of sympathy and sadness for another's suffering or bad luck.
Examples:
Feel compassion for the poor. Have compassion toward the accident. His infinite love and compassion for everyone never weary.
Complicated.
Involving a lot of different things or parts in a way that is difficult to understand or analyze.
Examples:
A complicated process. Become increasingly complicated. He did complicated pen and ink drawings in just a few days.
Ingrained.
Deeply rooted in someone's mind or behavior, difficult to change due to being established for a long time.
Examples:
Ingrained habit. Ingrained prejudice. Her fear of dogs was ingrained after a traumatic experience in childhood.
Inevitable.
Certain to happen and unavoidable.
Examples:
Inevitable changes of the seasons. Inevitable result. In times of recession, an increase in unemployment is inevitable.
Apologize.
To express regret for committing wrongdoing or causing a problem.
Examples:
Apologize for being late. Apologize ahead of time. I apologize for neglecting your email.
Victim.
A person who has been harmed, injured, or otherwise negatively affected by a particular action, circumstance, or event.
Examples:
Victim support. Victim compensation. The victim of the crime deserves justice and support to recover from the trauma.
Unbelievable.
Beyond belief or understanding and extremely surprising.
Examples:
Unbelievable beauty. Cause unbelievable damage. He drinks an unbelievable amount of beer.
Hire.
To give somebody a job.
Examples:
Hire a guide. Hire a car by the hour. We should always be prepared to hire talented recruits.
Investigator.
A person whose job is to conduct an investigation or inquiry into something, often to gather information or evidence.
Examples:
Private investigator. Clinical investigator. The forensic investigator collected DNA samples from the crime scene to identify the perpetrator.
Extraordinary.
Exceptional, unexpected, very unusual, surpassing the ordinary or usual.
Examples:
Extraordinary ability. Extraordinary weather. He narrated the extraordinary story of his adventure.
Apology.
An act of saying or writing that you are sorry for something that has been done wrong or that causes a trouble.
Examples:
genuine apology, accept his apology. She wrote a letter of apology to the renter.
Forgiveness.
The act of stopping feeling angry or resentful towards someone for a mistake or offense with compassion.
Examples:
forgiveness of liabilities, beg for forgiveness. He gained debt forgiveness.
Conditional.
Depending on a specific condition or circumstance, imposed or subject to certain conditions or restrictions.
Examples:
conditional offer, conditional release. The conditional statement in the program tells the computer what to do next.
Mess.
A state of confusion, dirtiness, or untidiness. Verb, to fail to do something or to make something dirty or untidy.
Examples:
have a whole mess, get into a mess. He made a frightful mess in his room.
Absolve.
Especially in religion or law, to declare someone free from guilt, punishment, or responsible for something.
Examples:
absolve you from this responsibility. Absolve a person of a sin. The lender offered to absolve him of $500 in debt on condition of work.
Improve.
To make or become better.
Examples:
improve a process. Improve the test score. We want to improve ties between our two countries.
Foster.
To promote a growth, to take care of another person's child, usually for a limited time, without becoming their legal parents.
Examples:
foster a better relationship. Foster two kids. The pastor contributed to fostering the sense of a community embracing all classes.